You know, for 30 years, this was just a dark rumor, a story that came out of a brutal war, something so depraved you could barely believe it was real. So today, we're going to dig into the official investigation of the so-called sniper safaris of Sarajevo. And really, this whole story hangs on one deeply disturbing question. At what point does a journey, a trip, cross that line from being something passive into an act of pure terror? This investigation, it forces you to look right at that line. The term itself is just chilling, isn't it? A sniper safari. And according to the complaint that was just filed in Milan, this wasn't some urban legend. No, this was allegedly a paid service, a kind of sick, macabre tourism where wealthy people could travel to an active war zone for one reason: to kill other human beings for sport. So you have to be asking, if this really happened, how on earth was it even possible? Well, the investigation has uncovered what seems to be a shockingly organized, almost business-like operation. So let's get into how this whole thing was supposed to work. Okay, so picture this. The story goes that it all started on Fridays in Trieste, Italy. From there, these so-called tourists would be flown on a Serbian airline into the hills right above the besieged city of Sarajevo. Payments were allegedly made directly to Bosnian Serb militias for access. And for a weekend, they'd be given a sniper rifle and a spot to shoot down at helpless civilians. And then they just fly home, back to their normal lives. It's just incredible to even think about. And this wasn't some rogue militia group acting on their own. No, the investigation is pointing to something much bigger, suggesting state-level actors were involved. The fact that they allegedly used the Aviogenex airline tells investigators that Serbian intelligence services didn't just know about these trips, they might have been key to organizing the whole thing. But this is where the story becomes just truly horrifying. We're talking about the alleged commodification of human life. According to the complaint, there was a price list, a menu, for murder. The highest price was for killing a child. Men and women had their own price points. And the elderly, apparently they were free of charge. And you won't believe the kind of money we're talking about here. The investigation suggests some people paid up to 100,000 euros for just one of these weekend hunting trips. This wasn't some crime of passion. This was a luxury item for the rich and the deeply disturbed. So that just leaves the biggest, most difficult question, right? Why? I mean, what could possibly motivate a person to do something like this? The answer, at least according to investigators, might just be the most unsettling part of this entire story. And this is what gets to the very core of it. The people who allegedly did this, they weren't soldiers. They weren't driven by some political ideology or religious cause. They had no stake in the war at all. The allegations are that this was purely for fun, for personal satisfaction, for the thrill of it. You know, the journalist who actually filed the complaint, Ezio Gavazzini, he put it in a way that just sends a chill down your spine. He called it the indifference of evil, becoming God and remaining unpunished. The ultimate power trip with absolutely no consequences. So if this was actually happening, why are we only hearing about an official investigation now, 30 years later? Well, the journey from a secret intelligence tip to an actual legal case was, let's just say, it was incredibly long and difficult. Just look at this timeline. It really shows you how long this story was buried. Bosnian intelligence apparently knew something was up way back in late 1993. They even told their Italian counterparts. But the story just faded away. It became another unsubstantiated rumor from the war. It took until a 2022 documentary to spark new interest, which is when that journalist, Ezio Gavazzini, really started digging and found enough to file a formal complaint in 2025. And that brings us right up to today. After being in the shadows for 3 whole decades, the law is finally catching up to this story. A formal hunt for justice is officially underway in Milan. And let me tell you, the Milan Public Prosecutor's Office is not messing around. The official charge is murder, and it's aggravated by cruelty and despicable motives. The whole case is built on a 17-page evidence file, and really importantly, the Bosnian government has jumped in to offer its full cooperation to see this through. And look, this isn't just some abstract investigation anymore. The complaint has already identified 5 specific men as suspects. For the first time in 30 years, there were actual names attached to these horrifying allegations. The hunt is on. So it all comes down to this, doesn't it? Will this finally be the moment of reckoning? With actual suspects identified and international cooperation locked in, this investigation might be the last and maybe the best chance to finally uncover the truth of the sniper safaris, and maybe, just maybe, settle accounts with one of the darkest chapters of the past.